The crystal chandeliers of Westbrook Tower cast diamonds of light across the marble floors as Manhattan's elite mingled with champagne flutes and practiced smiles. Scarlett Monroe stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, her emerald dress catching the light, her 3-carat engagement ring heavy on her finger. "To the happy couple," someone shouted, and glasses clinked in unison. Scarlett smiled, waved, played her role perfectly. But her fiancé, Victor Westbrook, billionaire extraordinaire, the man who'd promised her forever, was nowhere to be seen. "Looking for Victor?" his business partner Marcus asked, appearing at her elbow with a concerned expression. "I think he went to his study. Said he had an important call." Something in Marcus's tone made Scarlett's stomach drop. She'd learned to read people in her years navigating high society, and Marcus was avoiding her eyes. "Thank you," she murmured, already moving toward the private wing of the penthouse. The hallway seemed to stretch forever, her heels clicking against Italian tile. She heard it before she saw it, a woman's breathy laugh, intimate and familiar. A laugh she'd heard at Sunday dinners, birthday parties, family holidays. Her sister's laugh. Scarlett's hand trembled as she pushed open the study door. Time fractured into sharp, painful pieces. Victor's hands tangled in Isabel's blonde hair. Her sister's red dress bunched around her waist. The mahogany desk where Victor had proposed 3 months ago, now holding a scene that would haunt Scarlett's nightmares. "Scarlett." Victor's face drained of color as he jerked backward. "Don't." Her voice came out eerily calm, though her heart was shattering into 1,000 irreparable pieces. "Don't you dare say my name." Isabel scrambled to fix her dress, mascara smudged, lips swollen. "Scar, I'm so sorry, we didn't mean for—" "How long?" Scarlett asked, surprised by her own steadiness. Inside, she was screaming, dying, drowning. But outside, she was ice. Victor straightened his tie with shaking hands, and then something terrible happened. His shock melted into cold indifference, like shutters closing over a window. "Does it matter how long?" "Yes," Scarlett breathed. "It matters to me." 6 months, Isabel whispered. 6 months. Before the engagement. During the planning. While Scarlett had been choosing flowers and tasting cakes and imagining a future. Why? The word cracked in the air. Victor ran a hand through his dark hair, his blue eyes, the ones she'd fallen in love with, now glacial and distant. "Because she understands me, Scarlett. What we have had, it was never real. Just a corporate merger between our families. Good business. But Isabel and I, we have a genuine connection." The words hit like physical blows. Yes, their engagement had been arranged by their fathers, but Scarlett had fallen in love anyway. She'd given him everything. Her heart, her trust, her future. "I see." She pulled the ring from her finger, the metal suddenly burning her skin. She placed it carefully on his desk, right where her sister had been moments ago. "Then we're done." She turned to leave, her composure cracking at the edges. "You'll regret walking away from me," Victor called after her, arrogance dripping from every word. "I'm the best thing that ever happened to you, Scarlett. Without me, without this family connection, you're nothing." Scarlett stopped at the doorway, her back still to him. She turned slowly, memorizing every angle of his cruel, beautiful face. "No, Victor. You're the worst thing that ever happened to me. But I promise you something. You'll regret this night more than I ever will. That's not a threat. That's a vow." She walked out, past the party, past the pitying stares of people who'd clearly known, past Marcus who tried to stop her, down 43 floors, and into the New York night. The moment she reached her car, Scarlett collapsed against the steering wheel and screamed until her throat was raw. 6 months crawled by, like years. Scarlett stood in her apartment overlooking Central Park, a shadow of her former self. She'd lost 20 pounds. Dark circles haunted her eyes. Her father barely spoke to her, disappointed that she'd walked away and cost both families millions when the merger fell through. The media had devoured the scandal. Westbrook heir's fiancé walks out of engagement party. Monroe princess humiliated by billionaire's betrayal. Every headline was a fresh wound. But the worst part? She still loved him. Even after everything, her treacherous heart still ached for Victor Westbrook. Until today. Her phone buzzed with a news alert. Westbrook engagement ends in scandal. Victor Westbrook and Isabel Monroe split after she's caught with Dubai oil heir. Scarlett read the article 3 times. Isabel had cheated on Victor. The golden couple had imploded spectacularly, publicly. Victor's reputation, already damaged, was now in tatters. His investors were fleeing. His empire was crumbling. And something inside Scarlett shifted. She stopped crying and started planning. Victor's greatest strength was control over his emotions, his image, his business. His greatest fear? Vulnerability. Being truly seen. She'd witnessed it in their intimate moments, how he'd pull away when things got too real, how he'd retreat behind walls of wealth and power. That was his weakness. And Scarlett knew exactly how to weaponize it. She opened her laptop and began making calls. First, to her father's biggest rival. They'd be thrilled to hire Richard Monroe's daughter as senior consultant. Second, to her personal trainer and stylist. She'd emerge from this devastation more powerful than ever. Third, to her best friend Maya, a psychological therapist. "I need to understand the psychology of narcissistic manipulation," Scarlett said when Maya answered. A long pause. "Scarlett, what are you planning?" "Revenge." The word tasted sweet on her tongue. Not the obvious kind. "I'm going to make Victor Westbrook fall in love with me again, really, deeply, devastatingly in love. I'm going to become everything he ever wanted, everything he lost. And when he's at his most vulnerable, when he thinks we have a future, when he's completely under my spell, I'm going to destroy him the way he destroyed me." That's elaborate. And dangerous. For both of you. "I'm already destroyed," Scarlett replied coldly. "I might as well make it mean something." "Just promise me one thing," Maya said quietly. "Don't lose yourself in this. Revenge has a way of consuming the person seeking it. Don't become what you hate." "Too late for that," Scarlett whispered, but Maya had already hung up. 3 months later, the annual Metropolitan Philanthropy Gala glittered with Manhattan's elite. Victor Westbrook stood near the bar, nursing his third scotch, trying to ignore the whispers following him. His empire was bleeding money. Investors had fled. Isabel had given interviews painting him as controlling and emotionally unavailable. His mother called daily, with disappointed sighs. He was 32 years old, and for the first time in his life, Victor felt like he was losing. Then he saw her. Scarlett Monroe descended the grand staircase like a vision from another world. A crimson gown hugged curves he remembered tracing with his hands. Her dark hair fell in perfect waves. Her skin glowed. But her eyes, those emerald eyes that used to look at him with love, now held a calm indifference that sent ice through his veins. She was with someone, a tall, handsome man in an expensive European suit, leaning close to whisper something that made Scarlett throw her head back and laugh. That laugh. Victor had forgotten the sound of her genuine joy. His chest constricted painfully. Jealousy, sharp and unexpected, tore through him like a blade. "Victor, darling." His mother appeared, gripping his arm. "The Johnsons are asking about the merger." "Oh my." She spotted Scarlett. How brave of her to show her face after the scandal. Her scandal. Victor's voice came out sharper than intended. "I was the one who betrayed her." His mother's perfectly painted lips pursed. "Yes, well. Water under the bridge. Come, we need to do damage control." But Victor was already walking toward Scarlett, pulled by an invisible thread. "Scarlett." She turned, and for a heartbeat, just one, something flickered in her eyes. Pain? Recognition? Then it was gone, replaced by polite surprise. "Victor." She smiled like he was a casual acquaintance. How unexpected. The casual greeting wounded him more than anger would have. "You look incredible." "Thank you." "You look tired." It wasn't said meanly, just factually. "Are you sleeping?" "Not well," he admitted. "Can we talk?" "Please." "Just 5 minutes." Scarlett exchanged a glance with her date, who nodded and stepped away. She led Victor to a quiet balcony overlooking the city lights. "What do you want?" she asked, arms crossed. Victor struggled for words, something that never happened to him. "I made a terrible mistake. With Isabel. With everything. I was a coward and a fool, and I hurt the one person who truly mattered." "Yes, you did," Scarlett agreed matter-of-factly. "But that's in the past." "Is it?" He stepped closer. "Because I can't stop thinking about you. About us. About what I threw away." "What you threw away," she corrected, her voice steady. "Victor, you were right about one thing. Our engagement was a business arrangement. I confused proximity with love. Obligation with devotion. You actually did me a favor." "That's not true." His hand reached for hers. "What we had was real. I felt it, even if I was too broken to admit it." "Did you?" She tilted her head, studying him like a fascinating insect. "Or did you feel ownership? Control? The satisfaction of having the perfect fiancé on your arm for business functions." The words cut deep because they were partially true. But standing here now, looking at the woman she'd become, strong, independent, untouchable, Victor felt something new. Not ownership, not control, but genuine, terrifying longing. "I was broken," he admitted quietly. "My father raised me to believe emotions were weaknesses. That love was a liability. When I started really falling for you, it terrified me. So I sabotaged everything before you could hurt me first." Scarlett's mask cracked slightly. "That's very self-aware, Victor. I hope therapy is helping." "I'm not in therapy. You should be." She moved toward the door. "Wait." He caught her wrist gently. "Let me make this right. Please. One dinner. Let me apologize properly. Show you I'm different." Scarlett looked at his hand on her wrist, and Victor saw war in her eyes. Finally, she pulled away slowly. "One dinner," she agreed. "But don't mistake my curiosity for forgiveness. I'm not that girl anymore." "I know," Victor breathed. "That's what terrifies me." As she walked away, Victor felt hope and fear in equal measure. What he didn't see was the satisfied smile that curved Scarlett's red lips the moment she turned the corner. Perfect, she thought. The trap is set. The dinner at Le Bernardin was intimate, elegant. Victor had reserved their old table by the window, the one where they'd celebrated her birthday, where he'd first told her she was beautiful. Scarlett noticed. She noticed everything. "You look breathtaking," Victor said as she sat across from him. "You've mentioned that twice now." But she smiled softly, letting him see a glimpse of warmth. "The halibut here is excellent. I remember. You always ordered it with the lemon butter sauce." He paused. "I remember everything about you, Scarlett." She looked up, meeting his desperate blue eyes. "Do you remember telling me I wasn't real enough? That Isabel understood you better? That I was just part of a business deal?" Victor flinched like she'd slapped him. "Every word. They haunt me. I was cruel because you were getting too close, seeing parts of me I'd buried for years. I lashed out before you could truly hurt me." "That's an explanation," Scarlett said quietly. "Not an excuse. They're different." "I know." He reached across the table, his hand hovering near hers. "I'm not asking for forgiveness tonight. I'm asking for a chance to prove I've changed. That I'm not that coward anymore." Scarlett didn't pull away when his fingers brushed hers. Inside, her pulse raced. The plan was working. Outside, she remained calm, controlled. "People don't really change, Victor." "Then let me be the exception." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "Please." Over the next 3 hours, they talked. Victor opened up about his childhood, his emotionally distant father, his mother's constant criticism. He shared fears he'd never voiced. And Scarlett, playing her role perfectly, shared carefully curated vulnerabilities. She laughed at his jokes, let their hands intertwine, allowed the old chemistry to spark back to life. When he drove her home in his Aston Martin, Victor walked her to her door. "Can I see you again?" he asked, his voice rough with emotion. Scarlett pretended to consider, let doubt play across her features. "I don't know if that's wise. You hurt me deeply, Victor." "I know." I know I don't deserve another chance. His hand cupped her cheek, and she let herself lean into it. But I haven't stopped thinking about you for a single day. You're the only woman who's ever truly mattered. She looked up at him through her lashes. One more dinner. That's all I'm promising. I'll take it, he breathed. As Scarlett closed her apartment door, she let the mask drop. Her hands shook. Her reflection in the hallway mirror showed flushed cheeks, bright eyes. Because part of her, a dangerous, treacherous part, had enjoyed tonight. Had felt the old spark. Had remembered why she'd fallen for him in the first place. No, she told herself firmly, gripping the counter. Remember what he did. Remember standing in his study. Remember Isabel. Remember the pain. But doubt had planted its first insidious seed. 3 months dissolved like sugar in rain. Scarlett executed her plan with surgical precision. She let Victor court her, warming to him in carefully measured increments. She attended his business functions and charmed his associates. She became indispensable to his public image. She let him kiss her, hold her, worship her. And Victor? He fell completely. She saw it in his eyes. How he looked at her like she was oxygen. How he canceled billion-dollar meetings to spend afternoons with her. The handwritten notes he left on her pillow after staying the night. The way his voice cracked when he told her, I love you, Scarlett. I never stopped. I was just too broken to admit it before. She'd smiled and kissed him, whispering against his lips, I love you too. It was supposed to be a lie. But then why did her chest ache when she said it? Why did she look forward to his calls? Why did his laugh make her genuinely smile instead of her calculated one? You're falling for him again, Maya observed over coffee at their favorite bistro. Don't be ridiculous, Scarlett snapped too quickly. Scar, I've known you since college. You have a tell when you're lying. Your left eyebrow twitches. Maya pointed. It's twitching right now. Scarlett pressed her hand to her eyebrow, horrified. This is just method acting. I need to be convincing for the plan to work.
Right.
The plan. Maya stirred her latte slowly. So, when exactly is this grand finale happening? This devastating reveal where you break his heart and ride off into the sunset.
Soon, Scarlett said.
But even to her own ears, the words sounded uncertain. Hollow. That night, Victor surprised her. He'd been planning something for weeks, refusing to give hints. His driver took them to Westbrook Tower, the scene of Scarlett's original heartbreak. Victor, I don't think, she started. Please, he interrupted gently. Trust me. Just this once. The elevator ride to the penthouse felt like ascending to her own execution. Scarlett's palms were sweating. She hadn't been back here since that night. But when the doors opened, she gasped. The penthouse had been completely transformed. Where cold, modern furniture once dominated, warmth now filled every corner. Soft lighting, comfortable seating, and covering every wall, photographs. Not from their first engagement, but from these past 3 months. Candid shots of Scarlett laughing at one of Victor's terrible jokes. Them dancing at a charity gala. A photo of her asleep on his couch. Peaceful. Quiet, intimate moments she hadn't known were being captured. What is this? She whispered, her carefully constructed walls beginning to crack. Victor stood behind her, his hands gentle on her shoulders. This is me exorcising demons. The old Victor lived here, the one who hurt you. I'm not that man anymore, and I never want to be him again. This place was full of ghosts. Now it's full of you.
Of us.
Of what we could be. Scarlett turned to face him, and the raw emotion in his eyes made her breath catch. I'm terrified, he admitted, vulnerability naked on his face. Terrified you'll realize you're too good for me. Terrified I'll wake up and you'll be gone. Terrified I'll somehow mess this up again. But I'm more terrified of not trying. Of not fighting for you. He dropped to one knee, and Scarlett's heart stopped. I'm not proposing, Victor said quickly, seeing her panic. Not yet. Not until you're ready, if you're ever ready. But I want you to know I'm all in.
Completely. Devastatingly.
Stupidly in love with you, Scarlett Monroe. Tears spilled down her cheeks before she could stop them. Real tears. not calculated ones. Because standing in the place where her heart had been shattered, with the man who'd broken it kneeling before her completely vulnerable, Scarlett realized something horrifying. She loved him. Genuinely, deeply, dangerously loved him. The revenge plot had backfired spectacularly. "Victor," she choked out. "I need to tell you something." Victor stood, concern flooding his features. "What's wrong?" Scarlett paced the penthouse, her mind racing. This was the moment. She could tell him everything. How she'd planned this, manipulated him, seduced him for revenge. She could shatter him the way he'd shattered her. But looking at him now, at the man who'd opened his heart completely, who'd changed himself, who loved her with terrifying intensity, she couldn't do it. "I'm scared," she finally said, which was true. Just not the whole truth. "Of what?" Victor asked gently. "That you'll hurt me again. That this is temporary. That I'm falling for you, and it will end badly like before." He crossed to her, tilting her chin up. "Then we'll fall together. And if it ends, it won't be because I ran away. I promise you that." Scarlett kissed him, desperate and real, and let herself believe in the possibility of them. Over the next month, she tried to forget the revenge plot, tried to be genuine. But guilt gnawed at her constantly. Maya's warnings echoed in her mind. Don't lose yourself. Don't become what you hate. Then Victor did something that changed everything. "I have something for you," he said one evening over dinner at her apartment. He handed her a legal document. Scarlett scanned it, confusion growing. "This is a $50 million fund?" "In your name," Victor confirmed. "For women who've been betrayed in relationships. To help them rebuild, therapy, education, business loans, whatever they need. I want to do something good with my privilege. Make amends, even if it can't change the past." "Why?" she breathed. "Because you made me better. Because I hurt you and can't ever take that back. But I can try to stop other men from doing what I did." I called it the Scarlett Foundation. The document blurred as tears filled her eyes. This was the man who'd betrayed her, yes. But this was also a man who'd genuinely changed, who'd done the hard work of facing his demons. And she'd been planning to destroy him. "I can't accept this," she whispered. "Why not?" "Because..." The truth clawed its way up her throat. "Because I've been lying to you." Victor went very still. "What do you mean?" Scarlett stood, putting distance between them, her heart hammering. "When I came back into your life, when I agreed to dinner, when I let us happen again, it wasn't organic. It was calculated. I planned it all, Victor." His face paled. "Planned what?" "Revenge." The word hung in the air like poison. "I was going to make you fall in love with me and then destroy you. Make you feel what I felt. I manipulated you, seduced you deliberately. This whole thing was supposed to be a game." The silence stretched painfully. Victor's expression cycled through shock, hurt, betrayal, and finally, something unexpected. "Understanding." "Was supposed to be?" he asked quietly. "I fell for you," Scarlett admitted, tears streaming. "Somewhere along the way, I stopped pretending and started feeling. And now I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if I'm a terrible person, or if I'm just broken, or..." "Hey." Victor crossed to her, gently wiping her tears. "Breathe." "How are you not furious?" she asked. He let out a bitter laugh. "Because I deserve it? Because you have every right to want revenge? Because in your position, I might have done the same thing?" He tilted his head. "And because you're telling me now. You could have gone through with it, but you didn't. That means something." "Does it?" Scarlett looked up at him desperately. "Or does it just mean I'm weak?" "It means you're human." Victor pulled her close. "It means despite everything, despite the pain and the plan and the anger, we found something real. Something worth saving." "What if I can't separate what was fake from what's real?" she whispered against his chest. "Then we figure it out together," he murmured into her hair. "No more games. No more manipulation. Just us, messy and broken and trying." Scarlett pulled back to look at him. "Why aren't you running? Why aren't you angry?" Victor smiled sadly. "Because I've spent my whole life running from real emotions. I won't run from you, Scarlett. Not again. Even if it means getting hurt. Even if it means dealing with complicated truths. That's what love actually is, staying when it's hard. I don't know if I can do this, she admitted. I don't know how to not be calculating. How to just feel. Then learn, he said simply. And I'll learn too. We'll be disasters together. Scarlett laughed through her tears. That's the worst romantic speech I've ever heard. I'll work on it. He kissed her forehead. So what now? What do you want, Scarlett? Really want? She looked around the penthouse, at the photos of them together, at the foundation documents on the table, at the man who'd broken her heart and then glued it back together piece by careful piece. I want to try, she finally said.
For real this time.
No games. No plans. Just us figuring out if we can build something from all these broken pieces. That's all I've wanted since the moment you walked back into my life, Victor breathed. They kissed, and this time, it wasn't revenge or manipulation or strategy. It was just two broken people choosing to be broken together. Choosing to try. 1 year later, the Scarlett Foundation Gala filled the Metropolitan Museum of Art with hundreds of guests. Scarlett stood at the podium, looking out at the crowd, feeling Victor's proud gaze from the front row. A year ago, she began, I was lost, broken by betrayal, consumed by anger. I wanted revenge so badly I could taste it. She paused, letting the honesty settle. But somewhere along the way, I learned that revenge doesn't heal you. It doesn't make you whole. Only facing your pain does. Only choosing to grow does. She spotted Maya in the crowd, who gave her an encouraging nod. This foundation exists because two people made terrible mistakes and somehow found their way back to being human, to being real. We can't change the past, but we can use it to build something better. Thank you all for being part of that. The applause was thunderous. Later, on the museum steps under the stars, Victor pulled her close. I'm proud of you. Of us. We're a disaster, Scarlett laughed. The best kind, he agreed. Then, pulling a small box from his pocket, so, I know I said I wouldn't propose until you were ready. But, yes, Scarlett interrupted, not even waiting to see the ring. Yes, you ridiculous man. Yes. You didn't let me finish, Victor protested, grinning. I don't need you to. I know what I want now. And it's this, us, messy and complicated and real. As they kissed under the New York sky, neither noticed the photographer from the society pages capturing the moment. The headline the next day would read, From Revenge to Romance, the Westbrook Love Story. But they didn't need headlines anymore. They had something better. They had truth.